Greetings and welcome back to Pluralsight. My name is Bruce Mackenzie Lowe and you are watching Advanced Troubleshooting Techniques for Windows Server. In this final module, we'll talk about troubleshooting best practices. We've been through a lot during this course, from analyzing blue screens and hangs to troubleshooting performance issues, and I've shown you a number of tricks and tips along the way. I'd now like to take just a moment to point out what I believe are the best practices for Windows troubleshooting. So an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure is never more true than with troubleshooting Windows. We'll start by preparing for the worst, as we discuss how you can get ready to troubleshoot issues before they even exist. We'll then talk about analyzing crashes and hangs best practices, where I'll provide you with my cheat sheets on debugger commands. We'll then talk about performance monitoring best practices, and I'll provide you with performance monitoring threshold rules of thumb. We'll then talk about periodic maintenance best practices to avoid future outages down the road. We'll then finish up with a summary of what you've learned. So there's a number of things you could do right now to assist you with troubleshooting problems in the future. In this section, we'll talk about preparing for the worst to emphasize those best practices you can do ahead of time. So before an outage even occurs, you should do things such as set up the crash on control scroll mechanism. This will allow you to force a memory dump when you need one. You'll also want to select a kernel memory dump. That way you capture just the information you need. If you happen to be running Windows Server 2016 and you're using Hyper-V hosts, you maybe want to select the new dump type called Active Dump. This will save just the kernel memory and not all the RAM associated with the virtual machines. Finally, you'll want to test capturing a memory dump so that you can ensure you can get one when you need one. I encourage you to see the module on troubleshooting system lockups for more details. So you may know there's a tool called MS-Info32, also known as System Information, where you can view and capture your current configuration. I'll show you a brief demo of MS-Info32 in just a moment. Finally, be sure to establish a performance baseline using a 24-hour period with a sampling interval of once every 15 minutes. This will allow you to compare this baseline to any future performance issue you may have down the road. So, for those of you who don't know, there's a cool tool called MS-Info32. It allows you to interactively view your system configuration. But equally important, you can utilize it for troubleshooting. It allows you to save configurations for later comparisons. That way you can determine what may have changed. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at MS-Info32. Okay, we can fire up the tool by just going to System Information. There it is. We'll just fire up the MS-Info32. And as you can see, it provides you with a summary right off the bat of your system, namely the operating system that you happen to be running, the system type. Here we've got a Pavilion 17 notebook, and it allows you to see other things like how much memory you have, the time zone. Here we've got 8 gig in the Mountain Time Zone. And more importantly, allows you to drill down on the various components, such as your network adapters, so you can see exactly what device drivers are being used. So here I have a Realtek PCI type NIC, and you can see the corresponding device driver. Likewise, you can see I've got a wireless adapter here, and you can take a look at its device driver. The same thing is true with the various storage components. I can drill down on the SCSI devices and you can see the various device drivers that are being utilized, such as Spaceport or this UASP store.sys. Finally, you can see the actual software environment, such as your system drivers. It'll list all the various device drivers out there, give you a description of them, tell you where they're located in the System32 drivers folder, and tell you if they're started, what sort of start mode they have, manual, on-demand, etc. You can also drill down into the actual services that are out there on your system. This allows you to save all this information with the file save command. And you can put a name of a file here. I'm going to just call this config, and we'll say May 20th, 18, and then we'll go ahead and save that. That way we can refer back to that down the road, and I'll show you in just a minute how you can bring that right back up once we get finished saving the information. Okay, so now that it's saved all the information, I can just go ahead and exit out of here and show you how we could just quickly bring up the File Explorer, find the location where we stored it. There's the config May 20-2018, and you can see it's a .nfo system information type file. By just double clicking on that, I can bring up the same tool and utility, and now we have a baseline system configuration so we can check out the various adapters in case we need to see if anything has changed since when maybe an outage occurs in the future. So hopefully you get a good idea of this cool tool called MS-INFO 32.